Available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. I got a comment on my video where I talked about my new book, Isis, Dark Incubus, and white supremacy's impact on the black female mind. Now, I wrote that book, Isis, Dark Incubus, because I wanted to talk about how white supremacy impacts the minds of black women and creates an emotional wall that keeps them from being able to love black men and get close to black men. So I made that video because I really want to build a bridge between our sisters and our brothers so that they can know that we can love each other and we can break this wall down between us so that we can get closer together. Now, this black woman wanted to say that I should do a video talking about white supremacy's impact on the black male mind, and I'm going to take that sister up on that request because I really understand that white supremacy affects not only the black female mind, but it also affects the black male mind. Now, I know this black woman was deflecting as related to taking accountability for the issues that black women have as related to white supremacy, but I'm gonna take her up on this because I believe people can learn from this video, because white supremacy not only impacts the black female mind in keeping black women from getting closer to black men, but it also affects the black male mind because many black males have been taught over the last, I say 60 years, not to love our sisters. Now, when it comes to the black male mind has been bombarded by white supremacy with all sorts of imagery to demonize black women. And in the system of white supremacy, their ultimate goal is to elevate the image of the white woman above all women as the ultimate ideal and standard of beauty and the ultimate ideal and standard of what it means to be a woman. And sadly, from birth, many black males wind up getting indoctrinated into the system of white supremacy. And as they get indoctrinated into the system of white supremacy, what happens to those black men is that subconsciously they are taught to see the white woman as the ideal standard of beauty. And as they are taught that the white woman is the ideal standard of beauty, what they do is subconsciously believe that the white woman is more beautiful than any other woman in this world. And as they buy into that ideal, they also correlate a white woman with the standard of good, because in the system of white supremacy, you are taught that everybody white is good, and even up to the point where you're thinking that these people are deified and godlike, and as you're taught that they are like gods, you're taught that this white person is perfect, especially this white woman. And this is reinforced by little black boys who go into public schools where they see the ultimate ideal of leadership is this white female teacher, and as they see the white female teacher, they subconsciously learn to see white females as the ideal because they are considered leaders, they are considered authority figures, and even their own mothers go out here and acquiesce and defer to this white woman. So those boys are taught and conditioned from an early age to see this white woman as absolutely perfect, and then to see other non-black women like Asians, Hispanics, and Arabs as, again, being better than black women. So this is the type of psychological conditioning that a young black boy learns at an early age, and as he grows up, he starts to correlate good with white and non-black. But as that mainstream media is out here, what they do is reinforce old stereotypes that have been around since the antebellum South, where they demonize the image of the black woman by presenting her as having a bad attitude, her like the emasculating Sapphire caricature, or her being obese and unattractive like the Mammy caricature, or her being sexually promiscuous like the Jezebel caricature. And sadly, many of these black boys, as they imbibe this media, they don't really see how this media is basically programming an idea of black women in their minds that makes them appear to be unattractive and undesirable. And this is designed because they know that the black male is visual and the black male is dealing with his experiences, not understanding that white supremacy is manipulating the variables inside of his community, manipulating them so that the black woman is being bombarded with the same image as the ideal. And as she subconsciously buys into this subconscious image of the ideal, what this does is create a self-fulfilling prophecy where the black woman goes out and tries to be these stereotypes that she sees, because these are the ideals of white supremacy, but those ideals are designed to make her appear to be less attractive in the eyes of her own men. That's the impact of white supremacy on the black male mind. And as the black male grows up into adolescence, what happens to the black male as he goes and sees his women who look like him, who have been fed all of this media telling her that she needs to be a loud, sassy, big mouth, bad attitude, and obese woman? What happens is that male winds up believing that his own woman that looks like him, a reflection of him, is unattractive. And as he sees that woman who is a reflection of him appearing to be unattractive, what that black male does is he starts to see his own woman as unattractive. And then as the woman is out here not loving herself because she's already dealing with the traumas of white supremacy on her female mind, what it does is this starts to drive a wedge between the black man and the black woman. And that wedge is reinforced with that emotional wall that this black woman has when she's out here fearing that she's going to be penalized for loving a black man. Now, when it comes to the black male, after he's been dealing with this hostile black woman who has been programmed by white supremacy, he starts to see his own woman as unattractive. And because he's still dealing with hurts from his mother, in some cases really, again, abusing him, and the media reinforcing the ideal that the white woman is perfect, what happens to that black male is he starts to see his woman as unattractive, and what that further is reinforced sometimes by the cruel way his mother treats him because she's angry at his father, and further reinforced by the girls who have been programmed by the system of white supremacy to, one, not like themselves, and two, not like someone who looks like them. And that leads to them rejecting their own men, and they reject their own men, and that rejection hurts those men to the point where those men wind up putting up an emotional wall. And as they put up this emotional wall, they don't want to connect with black women and bond with black women. No, because they are so hurt by their experiences with black women. What these black males do in some cases is go out here and further buy into the system of white supremacy, and they buy into the system of white supremacy by looking to do things like finding an alternative to a black woman, such as going to get a passport to pursue a relationship with a foreign woman. Or what they do is they go out and they look for the ultimate ideal, which is the white woman. And as these black men go out here, they think that they're going to find a better alternative to the black woman. However, they don't see how they're being manipulated. And because they don't see how they're being manipulated, they don't see the white supremacist puppet mastering both of the black man and the black woman to keep them from each other. Because what the white supremacist wants to do is they want to maintain their dominance because they know that their entire society is based on a lie. And because they know that their entire society is based on a lie, they know that it's extremely fragile, and any iota of truth can basically shatter that entire system when people start to understand the whole truth about the system of white supremacy. Because the system of white supremacy isn't just a system, it's a religion, and it's a religion people learn before they are born, in many cases because their mothers are their first teachers, and because their mothers are their first teachers, they learn white supremacy even before the child is born, because the mother believes it like a religion, believes it more than Jesus himself, believes it more than any other religion out here, and believes it more than anything. And that's what makes it the third biggest lie that the devil ever told, because the system of white supremacy is designed by the devil to do the three things that the devil does: kill, steal, and destroy. And it kills black people's ability to love each other. It steals our ability to be intimate and close to each other and see someone who looks like us be a love, someone who we believe deserves love. And it destroys the ability of us to have black on black relationships. And that's all what the devil wants to do, all part of his mission. All part of his mission, and sadly, many black men and black women buy into that mission, and that's what makes it hard for black men and black women to love each other, because what the white supremacist wants to see is black people walking away from each other, because black families mean competition against him. Because in order for him to remain on top, he needs to go out and participate in his favorite business, which is war. And part of war is dividing people so that you can conquer them. And what the white supremacist wants to do is divide the black man and the black woman, all while selling both sides guns and butter. And as they sell both sides guns and butter, what they do is give you the resources to go out and take each other out, again, while you stand behind your emotional walls. And as you are fighting each other, you never really get close to each other. And again, this is how they impact the black male mind, because you have the black male and the black female fighting each other in a gender war, all while the white supremacist goes out here and pushes all sorts of narratives like the swirling, divesting, passport bros, again, driving a further wedge between the black man and the black woman, driving a wedge between the black man and the black woman, so that they will never get close to each other to learn that both sides were designed to love each other, that someone that looks like you is beautiful, someone that looks like you is attractive, someone that looks like you is desirable. I mean, every other race in this world is taught to put their own people first and see their own people as the ideal person to be with, as related to a relationship. Unfortunately, when it comes to the spellbound black person, what happens to the spellbound black person is that they are so desperate to fit in the black box that's acceptable to white people, that what they do is look to get away from each other. And they look to get away from each other thinking that this is going to give them peace, but in actuality they don't see how they are being traumatized by the war that white supremacy has waged on them. What many black men and black women don't see is that that there is a war being waged on them by the system of white supremacy. And the black man, in many cases, he doesn't understand that there is a war being waged on you by the system of white supremacy. And while you are out here, you have to understand, yes, there are a lot of black women who have been brainwashed. And I illustrated that in a ISIS cover called ISIS Bride of Dracula, where I show what happens when what happens to a brainwashed sister. What she does is become weaponized, and weaponized against the black man. And I did that in a very subtle fashion because I wanted people to understand this is what happens to the black female mind when it's impacted by white supremacy. You can be weaponized against a black man, but there are black men out here who love black women, and we love black women. We understand that they are people who have, again, been programmed to be weaponized against us, but we cannot go out here and turn on our sisters, because if we turn on the sisters, it's basically game over, because that's what the white supremacist wants. Because when it comes to the white supremacist takes both sides of the argument so that they can win either way. They win when we go out here and we denounce black women, and they win when we walk away from black women. They win because they get to see you go out here and genetically annihilate yourself by looking to go out here and dilute your own race. they get wind because they get power over the black man, because he's just resigned himself to say he can't get his own woman to love him. But the whole thing is, he can't understand that that black woman has been programmed by white supremacy not to love herself. And the white supremacist teaches you not to love yourself, because your first teacher, when she's taught not to love herself, she teaches you not to love yourself. And again, that's the impact of white supremacy on the black male mind, in that you are not taught to love who you are, not taught to love who looks like you is beautiful, not taught to see who looks like you is attractive, and is taught that it's impossible for you to have a relationship with somebody who looks like you. This is the conditioning that a black man learns in this white supremacist society, and we have to break out of that programming. And that's what I was trying to do with the Dark Incubus story, trying to show how the side of black women is affected by the system of white supremacy as related to their minds, and the trauma black women have endured as related to the system of white supremacy. Because the ISIS character, this is what messed her up, is that when she came to America, she got indoctrinated into the system of white supremacy, and it messed up her mind to the point where she basically, as she had the power of a goddess, didn't do anything to stop the lynching of her husband. And that's what I wrote in the 2002 ISIS. I mean, I wanted people to understand how deep white supremacy can go as related to taking away our personal power, and take away our personal power because it teaches us not to love ourselves, because you're beaten up every day. And the whole thing is, you get beaten up every day and you can't empathize for your black man. And I talk about that in another novel I wrote, The Temptation of John Haynes. I have a whole sequence in the second act where Esteem goes out into the world and she's beaten up by the system of white supremacy. And she comes back to John Haynes, who was racially profiled, and he's a CEO of a corporation, and shows him no empathy. And in that scene, what I wanted to show is that white supremacy was designed to make it where you're going against each other. But in The Temptation of John Haynes teaches Esteem about the system of white supremacy. And as he teaches her, she starts to understand, hey, this system, these racists are trying to divide us so that they can conquer us. And as she learns about the system of white supremacy, she winds up breaking free of that system and stands at the side of John Haynes. That's what I put in my stories, because I want people to understand how deep this system of white supremacy goes on the black male and the black female minds. I understand how deep it goes, and I understand that, again, it's all something made by the devil to divide and conquer black people, because the devil wants to see black people destroyed, but we are God's people, and we have to overcome this. And again, I've written about this in multiple books. I even wrote about it in the companion book, John Haynes, Dark Succubus. I wrote about it because what I want black women and black men to do is understand that your sister is not your enemy. In many cases, I mean, you have these feminist indoctrinated women who have been brainwashed and programmed, again, brainwashed and programmed against you, and brainwashed and programmed against you to be an adversary. But she isn't the one you need to be looking at, because she's just a pawn on the table. No, what you have is a white supremacist who is, again, pulling the strings, because the woman is the weaker vessel, and he wants to weaponize the weaker vessel, so you're fighting her instead of going out and fighting the system of white supremacy. That's what's happening when it comes to the black man as related to him. And again, a lot of black men have no love for black women because they don't really understand the gospel, because Christ loves everyone. And again, he loves you and he loves the black woman, but a lot of black women don't really love themselves. And that's what I saw, sadly, in another comment, which showed me how deep the spellbound mindset is. I mean, I had a sister watch my video and then tell me all about how a white man loved her better than a black man could. And again, I just had to shake my head, because that was just showing me how spellbound this woman was, because she bought into the idea that white is better and that the attention and affection of a white person is better, not looking at the person as related to the content of their character, but looking at the color of their skin, and again, equating good with white, We're creating it, the ideal of white being better. And again, that's how deep the mindset, the mind of the white supremacy is on black minds. I mean, when it comes to the black mind, both the black man and the black woman, what's keeping us from each other is that a lot of us have subconsciously taken in the messages of white supremacy, and that's created an emotional wall that keeps us from coming together and loving each other the way God wants us to love each other. Now, if you want to pick up my books that talk about white supremacy on the black male and the black female mind, you can pick up my newest book, ISIS Dark Incubus, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find ISIS Dark Incubus at other online booksellers such as Draft the Digital, Google Play, Smashwords, and iBookstore, and even at big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And you can also find the books that I also talk about white supremacy on the black male mind and black female mind, such as The Temptation of John Haynes and John Haynes' Dark Succubus, which is the companion to ISIS Dark Incubus. You can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Google Play, Smashwords, Draft the Digital, Barnes & Noble, and in big box retailers at Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos talking about black on black love and the obstacles to black on black love, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and coming to Kindle Unlimited, John Haynes' Dark Succubus. The man who rules the world is tempted by a sultry succubus in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes' Dark Succubus in paperback or pre-order on Kindle Unlimited today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati. A man who rules the world takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this all-new Esteem series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in digital format at Amazon.com, Google Play, Draft the Digital, and other digital booksellers, or pick up your paperback copy on May 24th. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.